Welcome to Isn't It Obvious, where things are obvious. That's going to be the intro.
We're cold opening our cold open. We're freezing open.
Welcome
Shut
to
that door.
Isn't It Obvious with your host, Philip, Micah, and Sera. And for this week, isn't it obvious that us commoners eat better and much tastier foods than the kings of the past?
Hell yeah, we do.
We take it for granted of just how fat and awesome it is just to eat burgers on demand and the greatest types of the grease
And
salt
vegetables, premium vegetables. Like,
Thanks,
the vegetables, weird-looking peppers and weird-looking peaches anymore. We have, like, perfectly
But
shaped
that's why
peaches.
I would go with the obverse and Sumverse, Spider-Verse. That the kings of the past ate better because what they had was so rare and uncommon to the common folk that it was elevated even if it wasn't that fancy.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that's a good point, because apparently they've done studies where people that drink a $100 bottle of wine or $10 bottle of wine, and then they say that, oh, this one's $100. Just by saying that before they can drink it, they automatically associate it with
Being
greater
better.
taste. By MRI, that little pleasure center lights up more.
I still think we could say our food is still objectively better because of the amount of nutrition we get.
It is, but it's a sliding negative scale. It's objectively better, yes, but due to the general quality, it's lower than what the kings had in the past, because what they had was so much better than the common food.
You're comparing the kings to the commoners of the past, not the commoners of today to the kings of the past.
But there is a rule.
No,
there
we're
is
thinking of commoners today and kings of the past. Is that not the debate?
Yeah, but you're comparing their
No,
better.
but the rarity of it is making it
That's
taste
not better.
Yes.
Rarity doesn't make it
Yes, it
better.
does.
Disagrees.
The wine
test where people would drink
But
in a
why
machine.
isn't rare?
No, but the idea that
The
something
harder it is to get, the more exclusive it is, the better it is.
Disagrees.
Dom Perignon is a crap champagne, but because it's $100 a bottle,
Actually,
people...
not that bad.
Whatever.
I like
don't
that.
champagne. Alright,
What?
Patron. Patron Tequila is a real garbage tequila.
Very.
It's not worth $50 a bottle.
Wow.
But because
Yeah.
someone said that it's worth $50 a bottle, and other people were like, they said it was worth $50 a bottle, I think it's worth $50 a bottle. Yeah, it's worth $50 a bottle.
It is.
What does that mean?
Tequila is objectively the worst liquor, though.
I was gonna say.
Actually, that's not.
Centenario's tasty.
I've had some pretty
And Uzo's pretty bad.
memories.
Uzo, yeah, I was gonna say there is one worse, and that's Uzo. That's just.
I mean, I would even say vodka is.
I love vodka.
What?
No, because you always mix vodka with stuff. On its own, vodka is kind of gross.
Disagree?
No, vodka on its own is efficient.
Yeah. Well,
No,
it's not
whiskey on its own is
efficient.
efficient.
It actually tastes okay. Like, it's kind
It
of...
has no taste.
It
It has
does
just
too.
like alcohol.
It tastes like burning.
I mean, I also drink sake and soju, so that's
Well,
kind
right.
of similar.
No,
It's
but
No, the
basically
sake has more flavor.
And soju has sugar.
true.
Like, it tastes sugary. Watered down vodka with
Sort of
sugar
does.
would equal kind of soju.
Okay, maybe, I don't know. I've had flavored views
Like,
of vodka,
there
so
are
I don't know.
stratas of vodka, but overall, if you give me an $80 vodka or a $20 vodka, I'd rather have the $20 vodka, because it tastes basically the same as the $80 vodka.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, but you'll have a $20 headache versus a.
I'm gonna have a headache regardless.
So you're...
That will not stop me from drinking. I know what the outcome is gonna be. I'm still gonna enjoy tonight.
I feel like your immunity to not caring about headaches is skewing my relationship to alcohol in this conversation.
I'm not going out and getting Kharkov off of a plastic jug that I am shocked the alcohol doesn't eat through.
Phillips is the worst, by the way. Okay.
I don't know. Isn't Kharkov cheaper than Phillips?
Jesus, is that right? Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. Like, Kharkov is damn near gasoline. But not resorting to those measures is why I can justify, like, $20 for a bottle of liquor is fine for a 7.5, optimally for a liter. But, you know.
Well, I mean, this kind of goes to the point where a peasant wouldn't have access to $4 chucks at Trader Joe's, right? Like, they would eat their hardtack with their crappy meals and their gruel and maybe some hardtack.
They'd have their porridge and their occasional stew, maybe, if they're lucky, from the pot in town that's made
or
at
a
the
pigeon
inn.
if they were good
And
enough
it's
with
just
a bow.
it's just a perpetual pot of stew. They just keep adding things to the broth, and they just have it on a constant simmer.
Or like a raw carrot that they
And
dug
no
up.
medical concerns ever occurred during this time.
Not
What are you talking about? They had great healthcare.
Well,
When you were sick, you went out to the woods and you were cured. You never
Okay,
came back, but you were cured.
By
You know
God's
what?
good
It
grace.
might differ by region too, because in England, I don't expect they had as many cows as we have now. They had deer and
Oh,
Deer and
God.
sheep.
Like
Which-
game? Like, oh, hey, this
gamey-
is...
Yeah, it's...
But they also lacked
Now, don't get me
indigenous
wrong,
spice.
I love venison, but it is not something I could eat every day.
Well,
Burgers, on the other hand.
Well, the
Burgers on the other hand.
I'm a true blue American over here.
Every day, that's it.
Okay, I couldn't
How about
do
like
it every
3
day.
times like
I
every
could
meal?
not. I couldn't do it every day.
No, I supersize me as a lifestyle. But
It's tough to
the main difference is the access to spices now is far more prevalent and much cheaper than it was in the monarchical days.
True.
Right.
Things just
And
taste
that's
better
what
now.
made... I'd rather be a king in Spain or a king in France or a king in Italy than English, German, or Scandinavian.
That's true.
Right.
Due to rarity of spice.
I
But
mean,
also,
great,
I think,
but
yeah, but the quality of meat was probably better because it was more wild. You had more natural flavor to integrate into it as opposed to how we raise our beef now or how we raise our chickens now.
I'm sorry, Kobe beef is freaking delicious.
Yeah.
Name another beef specifically by name that's frickin' delicious.
Just steak.
You just have Kobe because they made a point of doing it the old-fashioned way.
It's not the old-fashioned way. They baby the hell out of their cows.
But that's what they did 400 years ago.
Not really.
They didn't do that for the emperor in the Edo period.
No.
I don't think they would have...
Oh, no.
I don't know enough about
They didn't
history.
have
to
fucking
just-
cows then. I don't think they had cows.
The problem was they
What
didn't
did
have...
the Dutch bring to the table?
Math and science and Dutch studies.
Also imperialism.
What did America bring to the table? Baseball.
Well, the other thing is that I think food is out of season even for Italian and French kings, right?
Sure, but you still have spring harvest whenever the peppers would ripen, or you have the access to olives.
But I can have those peppers now.
Right.
Like, I can go to my local grocery
Literally
store.
But
any
that
time of
cheapens it.
year.
Right.
That
And
makes it less fancy and less rare.
oh no. Are
Doesn't
you
make
one-
it less delicious to me. I don't find the rarity.
But you never had the rarity.
I've
You've
never
always
starved.
had plenty.
I've never starved.
It's not a matter of starved. You've never had those limitations in your diet.
So
But the king
Okay,
wouldn't have either, though,
fair.
right?
He would have because he was subject to those seasons.
fair.
Where now we're not
Mm.
subject to those seasons.
Mm.
But I don't think everyone has. I was given a pretty well balanced diet as a child, so I've never really experienced a lack of variety in my food. But I do know my less well-off friends, for example, they'd have a really limited diet. They'd have staples, and they were very picky eaters because they just didn't have the opportunity, or so they would not like noodles. And I'm like, what? How can you not like pasta?
Wait a...
But even your
Or
less fortunate associates growing up still had a wide variety of flavors in the lower registers of the economic spectrum.
true.
Even a jar of peanut butter has more flavor.
You son of a bitch.
That has more flavor
True.
in it innately, as well as more nutritional value than what would be 400 years ago.
I mean, I'm also angling
More
it at the
calories.
flavor perspective, too. Modern science has really kind of went overdrive in trying to get people to eat their food.
Thank
Right.
you, Honey
This
Crisp.
isn't...
Screw you, Red Delicious.
Right,
No, let's get to the heart of the matter.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's...
Don't sue us.
I was just saying that we don't want to discount the fact that there are people working tirelessly on updating their flavors just for our palate at the lowest cost possible. I think I heard a joke that one Dorito has more flavor than a king had ever eaten in their life type of joke, but
Probably true.
it's like the concept that you would hire the world's best sort of scientists in the food world to be able to hijack people's brains to buy more of it. I don't think the kings had even the concept of germ theory back then.
Right.
No, they were more worried about people, poisoning them. So they hired really trustworthy cooks, and the flavor was kind of just...
Well, here, I don't think a royal chef would ever be fired if they dipped a finger in a stew and tasted it.
No, they wouldn't.
Where now that can get you almost blacklisted from the culinary community. Because that's something you never do.
Yeah, but there's also... We know about disease spreading now. Back then, I don't think that was really a...
What are you talking about? Life expectancy to end at 32 was a great time.
I don't think they really
Your
realized
teenage years were
that,
amazing.
that you could spread
Also,
typhoid through... Thank you, Typhoid Mary. Through
Midlife
cooking.
crisis at 16 is the best place for a midlife crisis.
But when did Typhoid Mary come about? Did she ever serve,
That was... Oh, I don't even remember when that was.
did you know?
She was in denial. So she was a cook for a family, and she was a carrier, but she didn't have any symptoms. And she would cook for this family, and then they all got sick and died. And then she moved on to the next family, and they all got sick and died. And eventually, people were like, okay, this is the one commonality between where all this vector of disease is.
It was also that
they said you need to stop. You can't cook. Like you don't have to do. You can do other things. You just can't cook.
Yeah, but that's a bullshit response, though.
Well, she's like, there's nothing wrong with me because I'm not sick.
Plus, that's her main job.
Mm-hmm.
Like at that time, I don't think it was that easy just to be like, oh, okay, I'll just be
something else. Yeah,
a highway surveyor. Like this doesn't exist.
She still like had a moral obligation to learn a new skill because, sorry, you can't just go off and keep killing people like that.
Genghis Khan made a pretty good career out of
Eventually, they locked her up. I don't think that was like the best solution, but it was kind of the only thing they could do because she refused to stop working as a cook.
And she also had the perfect maniacal laughter, and they were like, nah, it's alright.
I think that was an embellishment on the story that didn't happen.
What? From me?
But he's our historian, okay? We can't trust him. We can't trust anyone.
You can't trust anyone.
Or you educate yourself.
Okay, look.
We don't have time for that.
I mean, that takes investment and energy.
I can't wait till we have a live fact checker that'll be like, hey, no, that's wrong.
Okay, Mom.
He would last, or she, 5 minutes, then would leave drunk. Just be like, I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Oh,
Throw
if
their
it
cups
was paired
down?
with a drinking
No.
game? I like where your head's at, Phil.
I was thinking about why is it that the foods that we have now, I heard this, the fact checker's head's going to explode. Mississippi was the fattest state of the nation in 2002, right?
Southern barbecue, man.
But
butter, just butter in everything.
But if they would have just maintained their 2002 status, they would be the least fattest state right now. Like if they would have just plateaued, which means that all the other states had gainfully caught up and then surpassed it.
But we need to cite your sources, because that can be taken out of context with their lower population compared to the population booms in other states. Even our fair state has had a pretty big population expansion over the last 25 years.
I'm not fat-shaming anyone. I'm just saying that...
I don't even think there's anything that wrong with it.
Well, explain.
Like being fat.
Oh, yeah.
There are health concerns.
Sure, but...
So...
Wait a minute. What?
A thing that I go back to is this idea of the Paleo Diet, where you eat what early humans ate, and that is somehow going to make you thin.
It won't.
No, because we've had several thousand years of evolution that has changed our digestive system. We have a useless organ because we don't need to eat bone anymore, because we now have access to milk, and that's how we get calcium.
Delicious marrow.
Well, so the fact that people think that going back and eating raw vegetables is a way of restarting your system is totally wrong, because the bacteria in our intestines as modern human beings has totally changed.
Well, it doesn't really matter. You can eat whatever you want. You just...
It's a matter of portion.
Calories in, calories out. That's really all it is. If you don't exercise, don't eat as much. That's literally the only best advice I can...
Can we start an exercise routine where we hunt down a mammoth just with spears?
Maybe in our dreams.
No. Make a mechanical mammoth. A video game will take so much damage from spears, and certain spears that stick in and actually go underneath the skin.
How lifelike are we going to make this a dangerous game? Because I feel like a mammoth could crush you.
I'm kind of on board for the dangerous game. We have Ninja Warrior. Why not?
I'll stay home and read books. And
but the best part, you can have it where like 6, 7, 8 people are controlling the mammoth from the inside. Somebody just has like a pull-up bar for the leg, and that's how they move the leg, and they have to coordinate. And there's like a shouter in the head acting as the brain. Oh, I like this. Write that down. Write this down.
Is it obvious that we need to have a mammoth Ninja Warrior style television program?
Forget this mammoth thing. I just want a live-in chef who makes me perfectly proportioned meals at like specific times of day, and that's I would never
have the lottery.
I would never have to cook again. It would just perfect, and I wouldn't have to even think about it. It would always be delicious. I'm not picky. How about that? Can I just have that?
No.
And in this magical Christmas world, do you also want world peace?
No, just the chef.
That's not too ridiculous. Just the chef.
No, I was thinking about about the concept of people eating a lot of food and getting fat, and people kind of like not ridiculing them, but saying, "Hey, you just need to eat less and exercise more," as if it was like a moral obligation for the person to be in better shape. And
that's where I disagree. It's
right?
Like, hey, if you don't want to be fat, then yeah, eat less, exercise more.
Oh.
But if you're not gonna motivate yourself to do that, I'm not gonna like shame you for being overweight or fat, whatever.
There are some economic implications in this where the worst food for you to make you fat is usually cheaper.
True.
And that itself is something that we're not really addressing.
I don't know if that's always. It's not just expense.
Well, I mean, there's inactivity and it's also personal accountability. I'm not taking away personal accountability, but the fact that fat's all sugar.
It's
fat's all sugar.
Yeah, but fat's so much
And
less.
garlic powder and everything.
Yeah, we should get rid of the garlic powder. I know.
But I like-
awful.
It tastes delicious.
I can't have
So
any
good.
chips. I can't have any
Welcome to
goddamn
my
chips.
life. Welcome to my life.
So it's clearly that it's not a case of moral willpower. I mean, it just...
It is, though. Well, not moral willpower, but it is.
Well, just willpower in general.
It is.
What?
I wouldn't call it.
Here's the thing. Is it easier to spend 2 hours a night cooking a somewhat healthy meal or spending 8 minutes in the drive-thru and having a meal?
I mean, obviously, I will do drive-through all 3 meals.
It's
And 5 meals if I'm
easier,
really that hungry.
Because
It requires less calories, less thought,
Yeah.
less everything. Less
But you
effort.
have more flavor, you have hitting more of those neurological things that people are paying a lot of money for in these big corporations
Right, that's what I'm...
to make it seem like more of a reward.
See, this is what I was thinking is that even at like an economic sense, if I am overworked, I'm just going to get a burger. I don't really mind about the fat and the salt and the sugar intake. I just want something delicious right now, and I don't really mind.
And you don't want to think about it.
And I really don't want to think about it. And yeah, I
And
don't...
who cares about
I would rather spend those 2 hours
Dad, you can
doing... Yeah, thanks. I got the license. It just
the
came in the mail.
Dad bod.
But the issue that I have is that when people say, oh no, it's just willpower and you can be thin. And I'm like, no, that's kind of bullshit because
I mean,
it doesn't work that way. The whole
I'm not saying it's not fucking hard, man.
You
No.
can do it by willpower if you are going to limit yourself to like a 1,500 calorie day. But that in itself is incredibly difficult and takes a lot of dedication.
Discipline. That's really all it is
No.
discipline. And sorry to say, most people don't have that. Most people don't have that discipline.
Because we don't have the struggle that we had even 100 years ago. Because we have such food availability.
And I'm not saying it's not hard, because when I say it's just willpower, I'm not saying that as if, oh, you just have to decide. No, it's not just you decide. It's also fighting everything inside you that is also like, yeah, but it's so much easier to do this. It's an addiction. You're fighting an addiction.
That's what I was going to get at. Is if it was only like 10% of the population was severely obese or something.
Obese?
Obese.
God damn it. And the idea that like, oh, well, they just lack the dedication and discipline.
They don't lack it. They just don't have enough of it.
God damn it.
I'm just kidding. It's exactly the same thing. But
There is certainly something more mental at that state.
it's not that they don't have willpower. It's they can't fight that opposition, that addiction. They don't.
Which is really what it is.
It
Well,
is.
And
Okay,
they
you're right,
justify
you're
it by
right,
saying
you're
they
right.
don't have time to do this, but they can sit at home and watch 5 hours of CSI.
All right, see, that's
so
the...
fun to watch.
Every time he takes his glasses off, I drink
Yeah.
half a bottle of Carcow.
How are you not dead? How are you not dead?
Because I pass out after the first episode, so it's just kind of on, and then Netflix shuts itself off, and then I'm fine.
Look, this is clearly a system issue, right? Like the way I'm trying to argue on first principles, but I cannot. I am too weak, so I always was using analogies that derail this fucking thing. The idea of like, oh, you can solve traffic if you just drive better. Just drive better, and
Use your
you
blinker.
yourself can solve traffic
Learn
everywhere.
how to zipper merge.
Learn,
It's not hard.
if everyone just had the space in front of them and the space behind them in equal distance and learn how to zipper merge and definitely just be
Or
a
just-
better driver, we
Just
could
even know
solve
how
traffic
to queue.
today.
That's all you have to do. Just understand if you're coming up to a merging lane and somebody slightly pulls ahead of you, you back up, and then the person that's behind the person to your right backs up behind you, and you still maintain forward momentum. And you don't slam on your goddamn brakes and two cars get in front of you.
Right.
Oh,
So
that Pontiac.
the solution to this is, drivers just need to learn to drive better. That's the solution
Pontiac
to
drivers
traffic.
need to go the way of Pontiac and disappear.
No,
Sorry, listeners who drive a Pontiac.
No, screw you. You're part of the problem, not part of the cure.
You should
but also if you do drive a Pontiac and like listening to us, please think about
No,
supporting
don't. We
us.
don't even want your money. Saab drivers, we got your back.
Wow. So I guess what we're saying is, instead of using your money to help people, just use that money to help yourself and buy a better car. Okay.
Or eat less
Wait.
fast food.
One of those.
Or give to charity? I mean, I guess we still have to cure cancer, right?
Are we not a charity case here?
We're a charity case.
You're a
We're not a
charity
charity.
case.
Oh, okay, right. We didn't file that particular business.
Don't worry. I'll sign us up for a GEQ one of these years, and we'll be fine.
You just make ourselves a religion and we can be a nonprofit.
Ah, jeez. That
We
is...
don't even have to make a religion. We just have to say we're a religion.
That's what I mean.
We're the church of... church of... how do we make it sound Latin? What's obvious in Latin? Obvii? The church of the Obvii?
That's never been in one of my choral songs.
Church of the Obvii.
Couldn't-
Listen, we derailed so far.
We did. Where did that train go?
We're still on topic.
Are we?
We're half on. We're real close to rolling over to a different rail.
Freaking crash, man.
But
Food.
we have more flavor now, and it's more easily accessible. That's leading to a lot of health problems in the populace because we don't have the nutritional limitations that we had when 90% of the populace were agrarian.
How would we solve that? Make things more expensive? Please don't.
I don't think
We overtax things with high production.
High sugar, you mean? High calories?
No, anything that has a lot of manufacturing steps to it. Not necessarily big
Okay, so
farms.
so anything that isn't a whole food.
Oh.
Or even things that are simply prepared. But like Doritos should probably be more expensive because is there any real nutrition value out of Doritos?
There's
Really?
salt's
Wait.
really important to a diet.
First of all,
How much salt per chip?
probably can get away with like 2 chips.
Okay, so
And
2
you'd
chips
be
out
set
of
for a
an
day.
8-ounce bag that has 15
I don't
chips.
know. You know, honestly, I don't know how to solve that problem because I think Doritos are disgusting. Sorry.
No,
They
not
are
sorry.
disgusting.
Not sorry.
They are
They're
well,
gross.
What
They're
is your-
gross chips.
They're the worst.
Wow.
even Cool Ranch, guys.
Even Cool Ranch.
They were fine in the 90s
Mm.
when my taste buds didn't know any better.
I bite into them and my tongue starts to hurt.
Because it's so awesome.
It hurts.
Yes, the awesomeness destroys my taste buds.
I'm not a masochist, but
There's a
don't
reason why I like
enjoy
whiskey,
eating
Phil.
things.
It's because I ate too many Doritos. My tongue does not work properly.
It's the car cup, that's the problem.
I don't know. Maybe it's just.
Don't you take away my cake? My special cake.
No, there's no solution. Because the thing is,
No, there is a solution. And the solution has to come from systemic change in youth food consumption. And that has to come from a stable food source,
School.
like school, that will provide simple meals with using the most whole ingredients, hitting the most nutritional hallmarks they can while keeping it the most easily accessible. I think all school lunches should be vegetarian with the vegan option for those that are sensitive, and use locally-ish sourced items.
I hate this idea only because you said vegetarian.
Well,
I don't think
No, you don't impose meat on people or on kids in
You don't
general.
have to impose it, but I don't think you should totally
As
take that
a
away.
constant meal, you can
Especially-
find protein elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's not as easy. And to be fair to those students who have less glamorous home lives and don't get fed, and their only source of food is school, I don't think you should withhold any.
Kids under 15 get 3 meals from the government for free.
Yeah, if the government's aware that they have a
It's something they
deficiency,
can apply for.
if they are aware that there's a deficiency, like, I'm sorry, you don't expect a fucking child to just be able to be like, hey, government, I need more food. No.
No, a teacher,
I'm talking-
somebody in the authority situation in the structure of public schools.
You think that's going to save every child who's
No,
been abused?
But
No.
it'll help more. You can't save everyone. That is
No,
a highfalutin,
But
insane
I
need.
also think it's not necessary to restrict meat.
It's a matter of having it the most applicable over the broadest spectrum to appease the greatest amount.
The boringest food.
The
Okay.
issue I have
Sure.
too is
Boring.
It's food!
Chicken, man. Eggs, occasionally beef, maybe turkey.
No. The only protein we should have is insect.
I would be
Wow.
fine with
Oh, yeah.
with
We
including.
absolutely should have.
I would be fine with including crickets on the side or whatever. But no, I don't think.
No,
you
let's
should,
Snowpiercer this.
No.
Yeah, we can just grind up a whole bunch
Nope.
of bugs, turn them into a paste.
We should have a
First of
variety.
all, this-
Variety is the spice of life, man. You should get your source of nutrition.
It's a more renewable protein.
multiple
It'll help
sources.
us with our natural food waste that we find no other use for. And it's more ecologically friendly.
the only way this would work is if cricket burgers
There's cricket flour.
were illegal. Like, you cannot consume one. You can't even have one in your possession.
Can't consume a cricket burger?
Right. I'm just like, hear me out. You cannot
So making it illegal will increase its desire. Thus, it'll be a high-end item that the only rich
I don't
can
feel
get.
like this is one of
Only
those things
senators,
that work that way.
congressmen, governors, and the inner circle can have these
No.
things.
Please.
And
You inverse
Go
that.
ahead.
You grassroot it.
no,
And you
no,
street
that's
food
not
it.
how that works.
I had honey crickets in Morocco. They were very tasty.
No,
I had alligator at the state fair.
I'm looking at-
Still,
that's
I'm
me.
not going to go.
No, that's a reptile.
But I'm also not going to go out of my way to.
Also, alligator's gross.
It wasn't that good. It really
No,
wasn't.
it's not a good meat.
It's. I wouldn't
It's like
eat
frog
it again.
legs.
I'm glad.
They are not
I'm
like
glad
chicken.
I tried it, but I wouldn't eat it again.
No, that's real gross.
Wait, I had frog legs recently, and
How was that?
it was delicious, but I cannot eat more than one. Like they come in like a pair,
Mhm.
and
Of course,
I mean, most
Like
frogs
they
have
do?
two.
some frogs here have 3.
it's true.
That's just up by the nuclear power plant. It's fine.
And
you're supposed to eat their eyes. That's the tasty part.
Anyway, I was in a situation where I said I never had frog legs. Mm-hmm. And this is like a French bistro. And the host, oh, is that right?
Oh, is that right? You have not had the glory of frog legs?
Well,
nice try.
It was...
French listeners are going to be like, the hell?
It wasn't in France, but it was in like a place where there would be an accent involved. Not pretentious, but kind of like it adds to the theme of like, wow, you really haven't lived unless you had frog legs.
Like Toronto?
Not Toronto, and it was Amsterdam.
Oh.
And I was...
Oh, so a little slower.
And...
Nice try.
But this is how English is spoken.
No, that's...
It is a little too Scandinavian, I know.
It's more like... Okay, listen, for those that are of the...
We are here to offend everyone.
Yes, so it's equal opportunity offenders here. No apologies. So we were there, my coworker and I, and the host was there, and he was like, listen, what would you like to have? And I said, I would like to have something I can't get back in the States. And they're like, well, we have some unfermented cheese, and it will blow your mind away. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we'll get you port wine. I kid you not, 15 minutes before we meet this guy, we have like a small amount of which we can use on a daily basis to pay for our food. And so I saved it up, and I'm like, look, we can't get this guy to pay for it. It's going to look embarrassing. So what we're going to do is that we're going to pay for it, and the guy is going to be like, cool. And that's our plan. Because every time we go somewhere, and someone hosts us because we're out of town, we end up looking like a bunch of jackasses because they always pay for us at the end. So he's like, deal. So we're going to pull up our little small amount of money we can pay for. Do this. We go there, and the guy he just full on outspends us in the first fucking course. And I'm looking at him like God, like I'm looking at him, the host, and like my coworker, like he out fucking played us in like 10 minutes. Like not even that,
that's
like the first course.
Did you
that
make
is
it
a good host.
No. I mean, because
and that's what you're supposed to do when you host.
Right,
you take them out and take them somewhere extravagant because they don't.
And then he's like, oh yeah, I was here with my girlfriend, now wife, but the university was over here, and this, it's like, whoa, this is really really cool. It's like, oh yeah, I know the owner. Hey, come on, let's what would you like? And I was like, yeah, again, something I can't get in the States. It's like, oh, look at this cheese, it's illegal in your country. I was like,
okay,
yeah, all right.
Is it safe though?
And
it is made from zebra milk mixed in with their brain.
So he's like, yeah, it's safe. It's like, oh, all right, cool, right? Like, I like to have some. And then my coworker's like, I don't know about this. And then, so he orders his food. And again, I'm like going like time machine. The day before, I was with my coworker. And I was like, hey, what'd you like? There's like a McDonald's over there. There's a KFC over here. And we're in Amsterdam.
Get out!
But we could not find a goddamn coffee shop that was open in the morning before we had to go and do this job. And so it's like, there's like...
What about the Wake and Bakers? There have to be like pot coffee shops.
Right, well,
it's Amsterdam.
But the problem is that if I was so paranoid about getting tested when I got back to the States, and this is a different story.
Alright, continue with the menu.
Alright, so anyway.
No coffee shops are open.
So we were there, and we were like, geez, like there's not a lot of places we can have a nice, kind of cool restaurant. So this is the experience. We go there. He got frog legs for us because it didn't have it on the menu. Mm-hmm. But he knew the guy. He's like, this guy wants frog legs.
He has terrarium up top. I know he's got some frog legs.
And they're like, oh, sir, it's not on our menu anymore. It's out of season. Like, but, this guy wants it. And I was like, I don't really want it that bad. Too late. Got it. There was essentially 3 pairs worth of frog legs. Coworker ate just one half of it. He's like, yeah, that was very good, but I'm so full, can't eat anymore. But thank you so much for giving us this food. It's great. So nice. And by the way, I'm so full, I can't eat anymore. And this is the appetizer.
You better eat it. But you'll eat it and you will like it.
And then
they went out of their way.
He orders something that I was like never seen before, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is it's raw." Oh, okay. The reason why I did the time machine is that like my coworker was like, "I'm okay with eating anything, but let's actually eat somewhere nice, like somewhere we can't get in the States, but no sushi." And that's ridiculous to eat in Europe anyway. I was like, okay, cool. So anyway, he has this raw thing in front of him, and I could kind of tell like he's a little squeamish, like my coworker. I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm fine. So I eat the frog legs because out of politeness, also because I was interested. I was like, wow, I can eat an Armageddon load of chicken wings. Like I could just keep eating them, and the table would be filled with the dead carcasses of chickens. And
chickens are delicious.
And but I could not eat more than one.
And the head's all staring at you, and you're like, I take that challenge and just start eating more.
Right, but there were more frog legs for me. It's like, oh, you said you wanted it. Why don't you have some more? And I had that, I had my meal. I had unfermented cheese.
How was
It was so good.
Was it?
And that's the end of this episode. So isn't it obvious that we eat better than the kings of the past?
We sure do.
Thanks, Mom.
Mike is shaking his head.
I hope you enjoyed the cheese that I brought
All
back
right.
for you. Bye.
It's fermented now.
Bye.
Bye.